Hello everyone, I am not DaveTerenas, and I want to welcome you back to uh, the reading of My Inner Life by Link's Queen. Now, as I had it pointed out to me, the seemingly random numbers in this story are actually footnotes. So if you want to learn something else about this story, delve into the world of The Legend of Zelda much deeper than is necessary, you can look up this story and read the footnotes as we read along together. That would be fun to share this together, to have these precious moments with Link, because our love for Link will never die. I just want you to remember that as we begin. 2. It is a celebration feast that happens the night before the spring festival. Without hesitation, I took him up on his offer. I would love to go, I said with a soft smile. I will pick you up this evening, Link said with a grin. Just then, a deep voice rumbled through the garden. Jenna, my girl, my dear friend, how have ye been? A grandfatherly face appeared before me. With a smile, I curtsied before the king. King Zelda, my old friend, how have I missed you? I have been just fine. It is really nice to see you again, I said with excitement in my voice. As always, the king thought of me as a daughter, and always looked forward to the day when I would arrive in Hyrule for the annual spring festival. He always liked to see what new merchandise I have picked up thought my travels since my last time I was there. And most of the time, he would buy something from me, but he always liked it when I would show up, since I would bring lots of fun and happiness. As I looked at the king, I realized I was somewhat at home. As he started to approach me, I ran up to the king and gave him a hug. How I missed him. Ever since my parents died when I was very young, I never let anyone get very close to me. But the king was different. He opened up to me, took me into his family, and became like a father to me. He gave me a home to come to every year. When I was in Hyrule, I felt at home. Jenna, my sweet daughter, what have ye acquired through thy travels this past year? I smiled at the king. You must see some of the new cloth I picked up in the city of Skyle, the great city of light, I smiled as the king's eyes grew big. Jenna, my daughter, you must show me what you've acquired. Then he took my hand and began to lead me out of the garden. With one last look back at Link, I smiled at him. See you tonight, I said before I left. After spending some time with the king, he brought some of my new cloth, then let me settle in for the night. I returned to the inside of my wagon and prepared a hot bath. I went to the mirror and brushed my hair while I waited for the water to heat up. After about 5 minutes, the water was ready. As I slipped down into the warm water, it felt good against my sore muscles. I began to relax and slowly let my thoughts drift. Link was the only thing on my mind. He is so handsome, I thought to myself. That is the heroic man who became the legendary hero of time and saved Hyrule from a life of darkness. Though sometimes tugged at the back of my mind, I remember that I had wanted to marry one day, and Link would be a good choice since he was my age, strong, smart, and handsome, and would help make strong, beautiful children. Yes, indeed, Link would make a good husband. Then I took the soap and washed up. After I washed, I got out of the tub and dried off. I went to the wardrobe closet to pick out a dress for this evening's occasion. After some rummaging, I picked up a low V-cut white dress with lace that held the V together. Gold embroidered Triforce symbols lined the bottom of the dress, and the sleeves started from mid-arm and ran all the way down my arm to my wrist. Next, I picked a gold choker with a Triforce symbol for around my neck, and a gold Triforce ring for my finger. Then I had to do my hair. I braided my hair into a halo braid and ran a beautiful silver lace through it. After that, I went to the full-length mirror to look at myself. As I looked myself over, a knock came at the door. "Come!" I yelled. Appearing in the doorway was the man I had set my eyes on. His eyes grew big as he looked me over. "You look beautiful tonight," Link said as he took my hand and kissed it. Then he led me out the door. There were 2 horses in front, saddled for riding. One was a rust-colored mare with a white mane and tail with a black muzzle. The other was one of my brown mares with a black mane and a tail. The one he had gotten was the one with the white star on his forehead, the one whom I named Star Dancer. He led me to my mare and helped me into the saddle. Then he mounted the other horse, looked back at me. His eyes seemed to glow in the moonlight. "Follow me. I will lead the way." Then he booted the horse in the leg and took off at a slow gallop. I then followed. We rode to the south side of Hyrule Field and came upon a long dark tunnel. "This way," Link called. "Through here." I watched as Link disappeared into the tunnel. Then I followed. At the other end we crossed a bridge and then into what seemed to be a village. Little people wearing green clothes that looked like kids started to surround us when we stopped. "This is Kokiri Village, the place where I was raised," Link said as he dismounted. After I dismounted, one of the kid-like Kokiri took our horses to tend to them. As I walked around the village, the childlike people began watching me. They all seemed very curious to who I was. As I looked around at them, I noticed that they had something floating around them. As I took a closer look, I noticed that they looked like fairies from the fairy tales told to us in our village as kids. Were these really fairies from the stories I heard as a child? I thought to myself. Just then, one of the Kokiri, a young girl, approached me. "My name is Saria. What's yours?" the young girl asked. "My name is Jenna. It's a pleasure to meet you," I replied. "Are you the one that came with my friend Link for our spring night festival?" Saria's eyes seemed to glow at that moment. "Yes, he invited me," I said as a smile crossed the Kokiri girl's face. I could tell that she knew I had my eyes set on Link, though she remained silent about it. There were male Kokiri as well. One in particular was named Mido. He was the leader of the Kokiri and a dear friend of Saria and Link. He had a sense of humor, but he yet remained stern and headstrong, for he was their leader and was responsible for their lives. It was time for the feast. Saria gestured for me to join them at the feast table. She led me to the seat next to Link. As I sat down next to him, she smiled and winked at me. Did she plan this? I asked myself, and then smiled. After a moment, I looked over all the food. There was a great abundance of food to eat. There was cooked pork and a rich chestnut cream sauce, beef stew, cooked turkey, all different kinds of cheese, bread and butter, cooked vegetables, and even many different kinds of fruit. My mouth began to water as I combed over the food. After I served myself, I began to eat. As I was eating, I could not help but notice that Link was watching me out of the corner of his eye. I could feel his stare, though it was pleasant. Then our eyes met, and a smile crossed his face. As I stared into his eyes, they seemed to glow under the light of the moon. He even looked more handsome in the moonlight, and I told myself that I would be crazy to pass up a man like this. After everyone finished eating, all of the Kokiri got up and started to dance. Some of the Kokiri even played instruments. As the music drifted in the air, Link took my hand in his. "Would you care to dance?" I looked at him and smiled. "Yes, I'd love to." He led me to where everyone else was, and we started to dance. We danced and drank long into the night. And to show my appreciation, I even did a solo dance. Then, after I did my dance, I went to sit down and rest. I was tired. Link came and sat down beside me. "You look real tired. Are you ready to retire?" Link said as he put his hand on my shoulder. I nodded yes, and tried to get up and walk. But I was so tired that I had too much to drink that I stumbled. Catching me in his arms, Link led me back to where I was sitting. "I think it would be wise if you stay here tonight. I have plenty of room, and I can escort you back to the castle in the morning." Link looked at me with a worried look, and I decided to stay. And that is how we spent every night together, even up to the night when I finally shared his bed. Okay. I started to know inside myself that Link was the one I wanted to be with. Even more so on the night when I shared myself with him. ... It was a warm spring night, and night had just arrived. Link and I were sharing the quiet sounds of the night together. I had been seeing Link for a little more than a month. The spring festival had come and gone, and the warm weather was finally returning. All signs of winter were almost gone. My time in Hyrule was about to end for this year. In 2 weeks, I would be leaving for the city of Taravera. Knowing this made me sad to go, since I did not want to leave Link. I'd finally found someone that I truly loved, and I would have to leave him behind when it was time to leave. Even Link was not happy after I told him that I would be leaving soon. When I told him, his face went from happy to a depressed one. He wanted to be with me, and he wanted me to stay in Hyrule with him. But I was going to spend every last minute I had left with him enjoying it. We had remained quiet for some time. Then it was Link who broke the silence. "Jenna, it has been a wonderful almost 2 months with you." I watched him as he started to find his words. "Even as short as it was, I really enjoyed the time I've spent with you. I wish you did not have to leave. I do not think I will ever find another quite like you," Link said, as a look of sadness appeared on his eyes. At that moment, I was on the verge of tears. I was in love with him. I leaned over and softly placed my lips on his and kissed him tenderly. Then he looked deeply into my eyes and told me he loved me. With those words, I began to cry. I had never felt this way before, like the way he makes me feel when I'm with him. And there you go. Now, should you wish to be more aware of updates, or if you just, want to screw around and do whatever you want to, I mean, you don't have to, but you can like us on Facebook. You can just, look up The Unknown Bones and give us a little like or whatever button you hit on there. I'm not sure. I don't ever fool with it. So, yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching, guys.